if anyone needs a side hustle that will rapidly generate them cash,
Okay.
partner with people in your area, resell their stuff for them, and split the profit 50-50. That is a game changer.
You're 19
Yes, 19.
and you've killed it with over 2 million followers, man. 26% of people now work in the field that they studied.
And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn. And it's a hard one to accept. Only take advice from people who are in the position where you want to be. Teachers will give you advice, but a lot of teachers weren't in the position that I wanted to be in. We went round to people's houses, collected all these items worth a ton of money. And the great thing about this business model is anyone can do it at any age, because my brother, who's in year 9, 13 years old, was able to do it.
How pivotal is it for someone to have a side hustle in 2024?
It can change the game. Genuinely, it will change your life.
Welcome back to the Money Gains podcast. This week we have a very special guest. His name is Noah, and we're going to be discussing all things side hustles and specifically how you guys can start one of your own. Noah has literally started hundreds of different side hustles and been very successful with them too. He's amassed over 2 million followers on TikTok and Instagram alone, and you guys are going to absolutely love this one. So stay tuned and let's get started on the Money Gains podcast.
The Money Gains Podcast. You know we the right.
Noah, welcome back to the Money Gains podcast. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm so glad to be here, man. I'm excited. This is bigger and better, and I love it.
Yeah, we've leveled up.
Yeah, totally. You have. I love it.
It's time to go, man. I'm really excited to have you back because I feel like our first conversation just nailed it, man.
Yeah, we didn't want to stop. We just wanted to keep going. I loved it.
Yeah, and we went into side hustles and businesses, and I feel like there was so much more of that conversation we could have been doing today.
Yeah, when I find someone like you that I connect with, I can just talk for hours and hours and hours. So I think we're
Because
going
we like getting geeky.
Yeah,
about
we
business.
do. Kind of weird, but we do.
Yeah, but that's what we're going to unpack today. I think it would be a really cool conversation to try and dive into getting started as a young person in business and also just kind of finding your feet as you kind of go out into the big bag world, because you're 19
Yes, I am. 19.
and you've killed it with over 2 million followers, man.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've always been someone that I've always wanted to try things throughout my life. And from the earliest stage when I was young, I was doing a sweet selling business in school. I was starting a car washing side hustle. I started a clothing brand. I started a blog. But I've also had that love at the same time as well as business for content creation. So I was always making rap videos. I was making silly YouTube videos, little films with my friends. I was doing it all. I was making stop motion animation. So I think throughout my life, I've just been someone that I can't sit still and settle for what I'm given. So I go to school, but that wasn't enough for me. I had to be doing something else. I had to be selling stuff to my friends while I was in school. I was doing all these things. And it eventually led me to, in lockdown, start a bunch of side hustles. I was getting into them. I was doing eBay reselling. I had a really good car washing business. And then I saw Gary Vee talk on social media on Instagram at the time, because TikTok wasn't really a thing back then. And he said, if there's one thing you do today, post a TikTok video, because TikTok has got the most like crazy reach that you'll ever see. It was a very unique opportunity back then, because it's when TikTok first blew up as a platform, and there was a lot more people on the platform than there were people creating content. So I went on there as this like 14 or 15-year-old kid and started documenting and making videos around what I was learning about my side hustles and business and money. And I was just sharing things to people that were just a couple steps below me. And it was a great way for me to like educate myself really, really quickly around all of these things, start creating content, get a load of views, because it just absolutely blew up. I was starting to get a couple thousand views, and this was crazy as like a 14, 15-year-old. And I progressed it more and more and more, to the point that when I finished my GCSEs, and in that summer before I started college and A-levels, at the age of 16, I hit 1 million followers.
Wow.
And basically throughout college, as a 16 through to 17 and 18-year-old, I was out earning a lot of months, my teachers, juggling a full-time job alongside doing my A-levels. And it opened my mind up to the fact that if you build a personal brand, if you get yourself out there online, it's like you can speed track your growth in business, and you can do things that you never thought were possible. And it's all comes down to just taking a risk, putting yourself out there. Yeah. At the beginning, when I started creating these cringy little TikTok videos and showing people that I was doing a car washing business, I got a lot of hate. I got a lot of slack from even my friends, because they thought it was cringy. And a lot of people in my school, they kind of mocked me. But actually, when I finally started to do well, that's when they came back to me and they were like, you know what, mate, you've done pretty well. Like, yeah, props to you. You've done good. So it's all about just put in the effort, and at first it's going to look cringy. It's not going to be what everyone else does. But I noticed because I made those sacrifices early when I was young, because I got started early, I was able to utilize this personal brand to the point where now I land like contracts and jobs with people, and I make a great amount of money for my age.
When you were first, obviously now you're posting personal finance and kind of careers type of content.
Yeah.
What were you making at the start?
At the start, I would literally just get my phone out and show people my car washing business.
Okay.
And
right.
I would
So side
say
hustles.
like, yeah. So I would show them like, here's how much I made today doing car washing. And I'd go around and I'd show them making the leaflets and handing them out. And
Oh, nice.
I literally had like a radio flyer wagon that I attached to a pedal along go-kart. And I put like a Henry Hoover in it. I put all of my supplies in it, and then I would just vlog myself pedaling this go-kart along the road with all my equipment in the back, going to different people's houses, knocking on doors. So I used that as like a way to document the journey. I documented other stuff, like I would read books or watch podcasts or watch YouTube videos.
Okay.
And in the same way that in my A levels or my GCSEs or when I was studying, I would learn stuff and then format that stuff and teach it to my friends as a form of revision. I saw me educating myself around business, money and finance, and then putting that into a format of TikTok videos was a great way to teach it to myself and also teach it to others.
Where's this come from, man? Because like you've got this innate passion to kind of forward yourself and drive yourself to do things outside of what perhaps is the norm of what school and society teaches us to be, which is be a good boy, do your A levels, go to university, and then get a job in corporate.
Where does it come from? It's a really great question, because both my parents aren't very entrepreneurial. They're creative people. So my dad, he ran a podcast at a company that he grew pretty big.
Oh, interesting.
And my mum's like a vicar or a minister.
Okay.
So she leads a church. So I have seen creativity from both of them throughout their life, but they've never been entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So I think I got a bit of creativity from them. They were always encouraging me to follow my passion. So I did dancing, I did drama, I did singing. You know, they would sign me up for all the classes and stuff. So I had that creativity, but deep within me, I've always been an entrepreneur. And maybe that comes from my grandpa, because he's always been more of an entrepreneur. But a lot of it just came from watching people online and seeing shows like I'd watch like Undercover Boss or The Apprentice or Dragon's Den. And I remember the first ever time I watched The Apprentice, I thought, where has this program been all my life? And I was like a really young kid, and I was like, this is amazing, because I can watch people, they're given a task and they've got to go out there and make as much money as possible. And to me, that was my dream program. I loved that. And I think I like combining creativity and what I'm passionate about with stuff to make money. And even today, like I always try stuff. I always do things. A lot of it doesn't work, but some of it lands. And when it does land, it does really well.
Oh, 100%. I did drama, I did music,
Did you?
I sang as well. So
No way.
I studied music. So
Wow.
like I feel like that helps us when we're on camera, because we're kind of over that phase of stepping on stage for the first time. Because being behind camera is it's a stage as well, but there's just no audience.
Yeah, I often thought as a young person, because I was good at drama and I was in all the school shows, naturally everyone was saying, oh, you could be an actor, you could do that as a career.
Yeah.
And for a long time I thought, oh yeah, I'll probably just be an actor or something. But when you look at the statistics, only like 1% of actors actually make it as a career. Most of them are living like...
Same in music, man.
Yeah, same in music, same in
Brutal.
so many careers, dance. And actually what I've realized is I can still have that passion for, you know, being in front of camera or talking in front of people on a stage. But if I do that in my own way through my own business, I don't have to wait years in the industry living on just a couple, you know, pence per week. I can actually make a good amount of money and use those skills.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I figured out.
So I feel like we set this conversation up today. So we're going to tuck into growing businesses, side hustles,
Absolutely.
personal branding. It's going to be an absolute masterclass in it. I'm very excited. But talk to us a little bit about how you feel like it's very important for people perhaps that are your age now because obviously you've had this kind of like massive curiosity, which has like served you extremely well from the age of 14. But there's a lot of 19, 21-year-olds, even 30-year-olds sitting there right now, not understanding what to do with themselves. What happens there for you?
If you don't know what to do with yourself and you're a bit lost as for direction, the first thing I'd say is if you're young, maybe you're finishing your GCSEs or A-levels, just take out a year or a couple of years just to figure out what you want to do with your life. And you can go and get a job. And I think that's a good thing to do, get working, but you've also got to start something else. So what I'd recommend doing is look at someone that you admire, maybe in your local area or someone online who's got a successful business, and just go to them and ask to work for free for them. Okay.
Yeah.
I've had people come to me and they're like, can I edit your videos for free? My mate at the moment, he's just finished college. He's come to me and he's like, can I work for you for free? Just because I want to learn the skills.
Yeah, it's that Daniel Priestley vibe, like go into a small startup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's a really good route to go. Just take a couple years out maybe and just try so many things. See what sticks, see what doesn't. But the important thing is that you're trying something, and the first thing you do, it might not work out, but you move on to the next, you move on to the next. And the valuable thing about just getting straight into work, and it's why like I think uni can be a bad idea if you're still figuring out what you want to do, is because I've seen friends, and I have friends who've spent 3-4 years doing some history degree or some English degree that they do just as like a stopgap while they're still figuring out what they want to do. But the problem is they waste all of this money and time on something that actually they don't need later on. But I've also had friends who've gone to uni but actually just started a business, and then that business has taken off and they don't need their degree. So a lot of the time I'd say what's more valuable right now is just getting into work, maybe work on a commission basis or just work for someone for free that you really admire. If you admire content creation, go and work for a content creator. If you admire sales, go and, work for a car salesman or something like that, and just learn from the best. And people nowadays, like I was able to land, 5-figure contracts as a 16-year-old, earning crazy amounts of money, not because of my years of experience in the industry, right? Or because of any fancy degree I had.
Your platform.
Yeah, because of my platform, because I got proven results. And if you can show anyone these days that you have proven results, they won't care about your degree. They won't care about the years of experience you've got. Everyone nowadays just thinks, what's in it for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, what can I get?
Yeah.
And if you can show, look, I don't have a degree, I don't have that many years experience, but look what I've done in the past 6 months. I've helped this business owner 2 times their revenue. I've helped this business owner skyrocket their personal brand, build it really big. Well, that's actually more valuable than a degree. And that's how I was able to land these big, multiple tens of thousands of pounds worth of brand deals and contracts with different companies like Panasonic while I was still in college. It's because they didn't care about the degrees or the experience I had. They cared about what I've done in the past. And because I've worked with brands like that, because I've delivered good results, they'll pay you. And if you're young, it's so incredibly easy these days to learn a skill. If you just apply yourself to something, you can learn these skills incredibly easily, get into the industries easier than ever before, because all it takes is a cold email or a cold DM or just posting content online, sharing your story, sharing your journey. Suddenly you can break through in a way that you wouldn't have been able to before. So I'm insanely passionate about telling the next generation, there are so many routes you can take nowadays. You just have to be willing to work hard, put yourself out there, and go a route that typically most people won't go.
Yeah. The thing is, you've got a supercomputer in your hand.
You do.
And that just blows my mind. Like I didn't have that growing up.
No.
I didn't grow up with that in my hand. If you need to learn, you need to pick up a textbook. Or like YouTube just about came on, but it wasn't really much going on there when I was your age. Like we had books, that was it.
Yeah.
So like if you hadn't come across that book or that thing, you really didn't know that was happening.
No.
We had an MSN Messenger. Like old school,
Yeah.
So it's very different now for young people where they've just got access to enormous amounts of information. And while that's a good thing, it is also overwhelming in a lot of ways.
It really can be. Comparison can be mad too. Like there are so many drawbacks, but look at the positives and think, especially with content creation and social media, it's better to be someone that doesn't consume content on social media, but creates content. Everything has a pro and a plus and a negative, and you want to be always on that plus. You want to be creating content. You want to be someone at the top of the funnel that's actually creating and putting out value. Don't let it consume you.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I'm on track to have over £5.5 million in retirement. And I'm not saying this to brag, guys. I'm saying this because I am an everyday person just like you. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means that it's actually possible for you to build life-changing wealth too, no matter where you're at on your journey, your age, your knowledge, or even your current financial situation. So Sammy, how do I sort that out? Well, I've created something super cool, which literally takes 1 minute of your time. I've left a link in the show notes to a free money personality quiz, which will provide you guys with a free tailored content plan based exactly where you're at on your financial journey. Once you filled it out, you're sent the steps to start getting you results from day one. And then once you're ready, you can then move up to the next step very easily too. It's not judgy in any way. It's totally free to do, and it's actually really good fun too. Simply head down to the show notes and click the link there where it says to do the quiz and get your free money action plan right now. Now back to the show. So, you know, to go through all of that and push yourself, I think it's important to touch on, you've spoken about some of the highs and some of the deals that you brought in, but also some of the lows as well, because like I know firsthand that, you know, you can have pretty rough periods where you're feeling like nothing's going your way, especially in entrepreneurship or in just life in general.
Yeah.
And so how have you managed those kind of lows of entrepreneurship?
Yeah. I mean, like people will look at the outside and see your business making a ton of money. But the truth is, like, if your business makes a ton of money, it doesn't necessarily mean you make a ton of money, because right now I'm going through a season where like I'm trying to build this project that I've got going on the side. I'm trying to switch up the way I operate my business. And it means I'm going through a season where I'm reinvesting a ton of money. So on the outside, a lot of business owners that I see, including myself, will be business rich because they're making insane amounts.
Yeah.
But often to get to that point where you're making so much money, you have to reinvest so much of that money back in. So I try to live on as little as I can. I try to live as frugally as I can. And there are a lot of points, even recently, where I'm like, you know, am I just riding a wave? Is this actually going to work? And you can often question yourself as an entrepreneur as to whether this is going to last long term. But for me, what's always helped, and I have really struggled so much throughout my whole career, I've always been second guessing. Even if I've been making great money, I always think in the back of my head, is this going to work or is this not? And there will be periods, there will be months where it dries up, it becomes inconsistent. But actually you need those periods to kind of push you more and get you to think more creatively. And they actually come out as a net positive because you learn from those dry periods. But generally I try to, like, I'm a Christian, so my self-worth, I try to always make it being God. And like, I know that God has given me everything that I need. If I have no money, I'm still blessed. I still wake up every day and I still have an opportunity. If you live in the UK or any sort of developed country, it doesn't really matter if you go broke. And I try to have that mindset in my head because you can just start again. And especially if you're young, like I could still make no money for the next, let's say 10 years. And I could just live off my parents, live in their house, and it'll be fine. So I try to always think that actually everything that I've got is a blessing. And whether I make more money or less money, it doesn't change my self-worth as a person. It's all just a journey. And it's not about making the money for me. It's about the process. It's about enjoying the process and helping build a business that's sustainable, not just for me, but for people around me, and that makes the world a better place.
You've seemed to find your like purpose by doing this though. And I feel like when you go into entrepreneurship, you can end up settling.
Yeah, it's easy to settle.
And like, if you don't continually push yourself, like you could just carry on making TikTok videos and do a few brand deals a year and like happy as Larry and be paid very nicely for it. But you've now got to the point where you're like, what's next?
Yeah.
You know, what can I create? What can I add more value to?
Yeah.
And what's going to push me as an individual? And having that growth mindset is so important in absolutely all aspects of life. I firmly believe that. Like if you don't have that in you, then you will struggle. So you do need to find and try and grow that in yourself. But I feel like we're talking a big game here. Like you can start small and start building, say, some relationships or networking within those spaces and just start to have conversations with people that have gone out there and done it before you.
Yeah.
And then that's going to start to open up your horizons, especially if you're wondering out what to do. Like, go and spend a day with a networking group of people.
Yeah, do it.
Change your room. You know, a lot of people say that. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, like just go out there. Like there are so many networking groups, and the key thing is like meeting one person could change your life. It's all about that network, and it's why I always like the idea of building some sort of personal brand, because the real value for me hasn't been the money or the followers. It's been the connections that I've made along the way. I've met some lifelong friends, but I've met so many great business partners and people that have served me along my journey that I wouldn't have met if it hadn't have been for that personal brand. So yeah, if you can do anything you can as a young person or as someone who wants to advance their career, get out there, network, meet people, because it's only that one person that you need that can introduce you to that other person. And then suddenly like your life changes. So, and but also there's that element of, you need to place yourself in places where people value you more. So for example, my sister, she's 16. She's just landed a job that pays £11.50 an hour. Pretty good for a 16-year-old. But some of her friends are working the exact same, they're working the exact same type of job. They've got the same sort of effort, but they're being paid like £8.50 or £7.50 an hour. But they're the same age. They're working the exact same level of depth. They have the same level of knowledge, but they're earning different amounts of money. And you're like, how is this possible? Well, my sister has managed to put herself in a company that values her more, that values what she can bring more compared to her friends who are working at a company where they're paid £8.50 an hour or £7.50 an hour. But it's the same thing with life, right? You might have a skill, but to one person, your skill could be worth £50 an hour, but to another person, it could be worth £500 an hour, right? People give the analogy when Prime first came out, okay, a bottle of Prime, you could buy it in the petrol station for like £5, or at Wakey Wines where they were selling all of this like stupid amounts of Prime, they were selling it for like £500 a bottle.
Yeah.
But if you just ordered it from the website, it'd be like $2, right? So people in different areas are willing to pay more money for the same thing, and the same goes with you. If you put yourself in the right area in life, if you go to the right people, meet the right people, generally it's people who make more money are willing to pay you more money because they have more money. And if you can go somewhere where you can provide someone exponentially more value, you will be able to make yourself a lot of money. So that's what I try and tell young people. Think about your network, but think about networking in the right places.
Yeah. So you've built that inside of your new community, right? And this is something that you're trying to openly help people find. I'm trying to just help young people advance their careers and land like high paid first jobs and teach them how to do that. So yeah, at the moment it's a thing that I'm slowly getting into, helping young people, but that's where I'm trying to build this community to a point where people can join in, they can realize their skills, they can realize the places where they'll be worth a lot of money, and they can start charging accordingly. Okay. And so talk us through that. Like, what are the kind of the resources and the things that you're kind of helping them get? Is it more CV work, or is it?
So it depends where you want to go. So what we're doing is we're helping young people create CVs. So school teaches nothing about CVs, but CVs can take different formats. You can have your CV if you're applying for a regular job, but it's all about knowing how you format your CV in the right way. So the first thing that most people don't understand is if you send out a CV for a job, you need to tailor it to each specific job you apply for, right? You think about the way that on your Tesco's Club Card app, they'll give you exclusive deals to you that will intrigue you. You need to almost offer exclusive deals to the employer that you're looking for. So you need to,
that's good.
You need to like change. You're not changing what you're about, because at the end of the day, you have the same skills, but you just want to adjust those skills or reword those skills in a way that applies to the role that you're going for. Okay. So you need to think specifically about, okay, I'm applying for this company that works within landscaping. Okay. In what way have I worked with companies or done stuff before that is to do with landscaping? Because if you've done stuff that's to do with tech, they might not be as interested. But if you've done stuff with tech that could perhaps help promote that landscaping company, or like, do their Google ads, suddenly actually that does work. So it's all about reframing the skills you have to the person that you're applying for. But sometimes it isn't just a CV. So sometimes it might be a portfolio. So let's say you're a video editor or a graphic designer. I get so many people come to me and they'll send me a bunch of videos, but they're all very generic and not specific enough. Like they're in a ton of niches. But if they were to show me some examples of like personal finance content or marketing content or careers content that's very specific to my niche, suddenly that's like, oh, that's interesting, because that instantly separates themselves from everyone else. So it's all about crafting your offer in a way. Let's say you want to do video editing. Don't just be a video editor, because that's so basic, so boring. You're going to chuck yourself on Fiverr and just be competing with everyone else on Fiverr, charging £5 an hour just to get noticed. But if you reword your offer, reword your value that you're giving to someone else, you can land an insanely valuable, well-paid job. Let's say instead of being a video editor, you're a short-form video editor for really high-ticket finance coaches online.
Oh, interesting. So sub-niching.
Yeah, you're sub-niching and you're going into that. And even if you haven't worked with them before, you can just find their YouTube videos and start clipping them up and making them insane, making them really good. And you offer that specific skill to that specific person instantly, just because you've set yourself as someone who works within that niche. You're not just a general video editor looking for anyone and everyone. You work within that niche. You build up the contacts easier because you actually have a goal that you're aiming for.
Yeah.
You build it up better. So that's what I'm trying to teach young people. You gotta pick where you're going for, build up the skills, and then land those high paid jobs. And I've got a mate, right? Okay. He's straight out of college and he's making 2K a month, and he did this instantly. And for someone who's 18-year-old straight out of college, this is insane. He's called Joel, so shout out Joel. But Joel, he left college. He's 18 and straight away he's making 2K a month.
Nice.
How? Because he built up a fairly small but decent TikTok following throughout college, just all about the gym. He was just posting gym content. And then he went to local businesses in your area and he knew who he was targeting. And he said, look, I've been able to grow my account to this. And it wasn't anything crazy. It was maybe like tens of thousands of views. But because he was able to show this to them, he landed them on contracts. And he landed several clients where he goes to them every single day, creates content for them. He works with like some barbers. He works with some DJs. So he's specifically gone for more like the DJ route at the moment. And he's made 2K a month. And I was like, bro, this is mad, because before he was working like a normal job and earning maybe £10 an hour. Now he has flexibility. He earns 2K a month and it's going up rapidly. And that's straight out of school with no prior like work experience, nothing at all. Just the experience of what he's done on his TikTok. So
setting himself up for success, basically.
You can.
Right?
And like, if you're out of school and you're making 2K a month, that's just the start.
Yeah.
Think about in a year, he could be making 10K a month.
Well, if you're making 2K out of school, I mean, that's like Christmas. Like actual Christmas. I'd have loved that back then.
But like, there are people in uni who have skills that are just as good as Joel. You know, they've gone through all of the graphic design and the video editing courses, and they've got the media degree,
but they haven't put themselves out there.
No,
so when it comes to it's harder, right?
And that's why like the idea of uni really surprises me. And I think the government need to reform uni in a way that I think they need to, especially if it's like a media degree, it needs to just be more of an apprenticeship degree with a bit of learning alongside it. But
how do I get clients?
Yeah. And the learning needs to be not from professors who have studied the subject, but from people who are already doing well in that topic. So they bring in TikTokers, YouTubers, video editors who are doing well, who actually explain the steps that they use to go and get clients. So if I were to like create a perfect uni, it would be like something where companies can apply to get very cheap labor, but also build skills. So kind of like an apprenticeship. But then alongside, maybe there's a few masterclasses from industry experts. And for me, your degree would actually just be whatever results you get at the end of that. So if you've made a bunch of TikToks and they've got millions of views for clients, generated thousands of pounds, that's your degree.
So you, having just gone through the school system, what do you feel like other than that needs to change then, do you think?
So here's a really interesting story. I went back to my old secondary school about a year ago, and my old head teacher was like, oh, Noah, what uni are you going to? Because I always did pretty well in school. I would regularly get A's on my tests and I worked very hard.
That doesn't surprise me in any way.
I appreciate that, man. But I said to my head teacher, look, miss, I'm not actually going to do uni, okay? I'm going to go full-time into my business. I've got something going here and I think I can take it all the way. So for me, there's nothing interesting at uni. I don't see how it would help my career prospects. I'm already doing well, so I'm not going to go. And she stopped and she looked at me and she looked so sad. She looked like so disappointed.
The teacher?
Yeah, the head teacher of my old
school. The head
school.
teacher?
Yeah. She was like,
wow.
And she couldn't believe I was throwing away, because to her, uni was like the most obvious thing I should be doing.
Don't they get paid for you going to uni though?
The point is, right, schools actually do sell more people onto their school. So for every pupil that comes to a school, they get around a couple thousand a year from the government. Okay. So the way that the head teachers encourage their school to last long term is by getting people into the school. How do you do that? It's at the open evenings, right? Yeah. At the open evenings, they give all the statistics about what percentage of people go to uni from this school.
Ah,
So if they can increase it by just a couple
that's
more
a carrot
people.
dangler for the money.
Yeah, exactly. So everything is a business at the end of the day. Even your public funded state schools, they're thinking like a business. There is a selfish reason why they're so pushy for students to go to uni. It's because they can use that statistic that appeals to parents, not really students, because students, when they first join secondary schools or colleges, they're not as much thinking about uni. They just become conditioned to think more and more about it because that's what school embeds into their curriculum. You have to go to uni. But why do they do that? It's so more people can come to their schools, so they can impress the parents, so they get more people, so the statistic looks better.
And I'm pretty much sure you were probably guaranteed a good place at a pretty good uni. So
I would have been.
Looked
Yeah,
good for them.
I got.
Do you think that's why she was sad, or was she sad because she was a good person? I suppose there's that aspect to it too,
I
right?
think she was sad because I was head boy, right? I've been on all of the like prefect schemes and everything, and I had so much experience that would have meant all of my UCAS points, which are the points that help you get into uni, would have been off the chart, right? For me, she probably over the years like was kind of trying to condition me to become this perfect uni student.
Yeah,
But
Oxford, Cambridge.
Yeah,
sort of
Oxford,
level.
Cambridge.
Yeah,
and the point is, both my parents went to Oxford and Cambridge. That's where they met.
Right.
So I come from that world of like, go to a really good uni. And
What did your parents say about this, by the way?
oh man, at first, when I told my parents I wasn't going to uni and I was working on my business, we fought so much about it, right? We would be in the car and for hours we would have these really long, fiery debates about why my parents saying I should go to uni. It would be the best thing in the world for me, and me fiercely fighting back going, no, I really just want to do my business.
Brilliant.
And it's because back then it wasn't, they didn't want me to go to uni because I would get a good job. They knew regardless I'd always do well in life. For them, they just had the most amazing time at uni. It's where they met each other.
Yeah.
If they hadn't have met at uni, I wouldn't have been alive right now. Okay. It's where they met all of their friends. My godparents are from like friends that they met at uni. Okay. So they just had the most amazing couple of years at uni. They loved it so much. And they thought I would be that type of person that could easily go to uni, make friends. And sure, I would have enjoyed it. But what they didn't realize and what they've come to realize now is actually you can have just as fun of a life and you can make incredible memories just by going down your own route and having fun. But ultimately, what caused the switch is I ended up helping my dad so much with his business that he was starting on the side through helping him grow to 250K on Insta. I helped him grow to I helped him grow to over 250,000 followers on TikTok, over 100,000 followers on Instagram, start bringing in good funding for his business to the point where he realized, oh, wow, actually, if Noah stays around at home,
he knows what he's doing here.
he can help me. Yeah. And they did begin to realize, even like my college, like some of my college teachers told me, Noah, why are you still in college? Because you're making more than me this month. Like, what are you doing? You should just go and like go off. But I stayed through to college. But a lot of my teachers were like, yeah, you don't need to do uni, Noah.
I think it's a catch-22 situation for you there, because like I do agree with your mum and dad and they're like the experience factor, like, and that would worry me slightly. But if I saw it coming from you with the kind of like fiery belly, like I'm going to do this and I know I'm going to be successful. And there's also like track record of that kid if they've been doing pretty well before that. Like,
yeah,
you kind of can't really argue with that at that point. And it's great that you had that, like, no, foot down, I'm going to go for it. But yeah, I do see where your mum and dad are coming from. Because for me, like, you know, I learned in those, that was my first year's dumped on Freshers Week. Yeah. And I was like, there's no parents. And actually, I made a ton of mistakes. Yeah, of course. Like really, really terrible mistakes. And just because you just didn't know anything, right? Like, other than you used to having your dinner put on the table for you. So you do have to learn pretty quickly. So there's that side of it too. But it sounds like you've done the right thing. Yeah, man. I think it was the right choice. And yeah, I've learned so much this year myself about growing up, about being in the world. But yeah, both options work. And I don't diss uni, right? If you want to do it just for the fun, you can do it. I'm gonna argue with you. I'm gonna throw in. I personally think it's completely outdated. I think it is outdated too. The only thing I would say is like, and expensive. Yeah, but if you're willing to pay that price to have a few years of partying and chill and like whatever,
if that's like what makes you happy, go for it. But I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't make them happy, and I agree with you, right?
But it's like a 25 grand party.
I know, and it's a stupidly expensive party. Like, okay, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, go to uni, right?
Absolutely.
And I think we can agree there.
Profession based,
profession based.
Yeah,
and maybe if your parents are willing to pay for you to go to uni or whatever, yeah, give it a go, whatever. But remember, like, if you genuinely are interested in studying a subject or whatever, you can study it later on in your life. Like, you don't have to do it when you're 18. And I think
it's 26% of people now work in the field that they studied.
Yeah, and that's
a
ridiculous,
lot
isn't
of
it?
money gone down. Well, I would say down the pan. You've picked up a lot of stuff while you're there.
Yeah.
Life lessons. Maybe you're using aspects of your course in what you do in your day to day, but often not. So for me, that just feels like it's kind of a lot of kids, they don't understand what they want to do. So they go into university kind of probably because their mum and dad or the school system, as we spoke about,
just that expected route.
That expected route. And they get there, they still don't really know what they do. So they just go, oh, I'll do something that will make mum and dad happy. And then they finish that and then they go out. And then suddenly they're in the mid-20s just still trying to figure out what they want to do.
And that's one of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn. And it's a hard one to accept, but only take advice from people who are in the position where you want to be. Teachers will give you advice, but a lot of teachers weren't in the position that I wanted to be in.
Yeah.
Okay. The only teacher that was my media teacher, who had a good job, but ended up retiring herself and just going to teaching for fun.
Yeah.
And in that circumstance,
giving back.
Yeah, giving back.
That's brilliant.
And I will listen to her then. And I actually took what she said seriously. There'll be a lot of people, family, friends, family members, people at your church, school teachers, they will all tell you what they think is best for your life. But every time someone gives you their opinion, usually it's centered around their worldview, their biases.
For sure.
And like, people, they want you to do well, but some people don't want you to do better than them.
But they want you to be better than, like, they want you to be like them.
Yeah, other people want you to be like them. So they shape their worldview, their decisions and their advice around what they think. So you just have to be careful. And ultimately, like, if you're seeking out higher career advice, maybe sometimes careers advisors aren't always the best way to go.
They're the worst people to listen to.
because in college, right, I was talking with a careers advisor, and I literally almost convinced her to leave her job as a careers advisor and go and start a business by the seaside. Genuinely.
Okay, I'm into that. I'm into it.
Like, we went to one of these workshops together where I was representing the college. And by the end, she was genuinely so close to quitting her job because she didn't really like her job and going and starting a business by the seaside. I was like, you should start your own business if you're not happy here. So take advice from entrepreneurs, from people. It ultimately goes back to the thing I said before, just work for someone that is in the position you want to be in.
100%. You've mentioned personal brand a few times, and I think I really want to tuck into this because it's just a growing buzzword at the moment.
Yes, it is.
But there are a couple of sides to it. And it can be useful in all aspects. I've been hearing a lot of conversations about actually utilizing personal brand, even if you're in the workplace.
Oh yeah, it's massive now. Like LinkedIn, like companies are telling their employees, you need to get on LinkedIn because they know the power that it has. Even in school now, in colleges, they tell their students to be on LinkedIn. It's the one social media schools want you to be on. And there's a good reason why, because it actually helps you land jobs. One of my biggest clients I've ever landed was actually thanks to my college teacher's advice. So my media teacher, she was like, Noah, you've got to get on LinkedIn. I was like, yeah, okay. So I went on LinkedIn. I put all of the work that I did on there, my past experience. And then I think a week later, Panasonic reached out and offered me a huge contract. And that was just because I went on LinkedIn. So
and it's also
now.
like the other aspect of it where if you're posting about things that you're good at, you start attracting business for the current business that you work in, which then makes you more valuable. So in your review, you can then ask for that 10 grand pay rise or that bonus because you've brought in, suddenly you're the star pupil. You can be a bit more like, I have a bit more power in this organization now because they can't get rid of you because you've got 100,000 or even 10,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You've got a bit more power now, right? And also then you walk into your next interview, you're then, have you seen his LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Like,
it elevates you. And it's like the fact that I have 2 million followers, it just gives me that slight credibility.
Yeah.
Like, even if
you
I'm
can
not,
walk into any room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if in some areas of my life, I'm more, let's say, underskilled, the fact I got 2 million followers, it usually just balances
If you
out.
went into an interview now, you get the job before you walked in.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the power of a personal brand.
It is. It is. If you have that following, subconsciously people just give more respect to you. And whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know. But it is the case. And I've noticed
Interestingly,
it.
from the other side of it, as a business owner, CEOs are now building personal brands.
They are. And that's actually an agency that right now me and one of my mates are building. We are helping CEOs, millionaire business owners who have done really well in their life build personal brands on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, through creating shorts.
Do you think it's essential?
I think it's essential more than ever, man. Genuinely, because like there are so many ways to have a career now, but I feel like most people who have a career, they're realizing if you have that personal brand, it unlocks opportunities that even if you're making millions, there are just so many more things that it will give you. It will connect. Like if you've already delivered great results in the business and you've made a good network, think of how many more people you'll be able to network with and be introduced to if you have a personal brand.
100%.
Instantly, 100 times, you're just going to be able to connect with way better people. And as well, like if you have a, like, you know, Alex Hormozy, he has a personal brand. He doesn't really sell a lot to most of his audience, but the fact that he has that personal brand allows him to bring on big clients, grow their companies. So it might not be that you're specifically selling something to someone as a person who's building your personal brand, but it might be that one of your clients sees, so let's say you run, one of the guys that we're working with, they have a video production agency. We're making videos around their story of growing video production. And the hope is with that is maybe someone who needs video production will see their stuff and they'll land a 100K contract out of that.
Oh,
and that's what can happen with a personal brand. You can make 100K from a video that gets like 5,000 views.
Yeah, or potentially more. So a friend of mine is doing VC at the moment for his dating app, started his personal brand, first couple of videos blew up, he went on a couple of podcasts. He was actually in here, and that's how I found this place.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and well, one of the reasons why I found this place. He put out that content, and that podcast that he was on blew up. I think it did 1 point something million views. Paris Hilton commented on it.
What?
And then he now went into that VC meeting and they had seen that video and they were already in before he even delivered the pitch. And he got one of his biggest landed clients off the back of it. So that's the power of what it can do for you there. There's power of it in the workplace.
Speeches as well.
I was just about to say public speaking is, as a CEO or a founder, is massive. So you can then funnel that off as your own limited, you know, Sammy Ellard King or Noah Brierley Limited.
Yeah.
And you can have that running on your own thing because you're actually just going up to kind of say your expertise rather than necessarily
here's the
your
biggest
business.
thing, Sammy. Like, this is what I'll always come back to when I talk to clients that we're trying to land for this personal brand agency. I'll say, nowadays, people don't buy from businesses, they buy from people.
100%.
They become invested in people, right? 9 times out of 10, if I actually know someone who works at a car garage and I can relate to him and I laugh with him and I really like him, I will choose his car garage over the cheapest one. Okay? Because I know the guy, I have that trust.
Yeah.
It's why like Logan Paul is able to sell buckets load of Prime when there are tons of other much better drinks on the shelf. It's because people have that connection, that affinity to Logan Paul.
Well, it goes into anything. Like even if you go to the waitress in the restaurant, she turns a smile and has a nice chat with you, or waiter, doesn't necessarily need to be male or female. You end up buying the dessert and having the extra cocktail, which then makes that business more money because you've bought off the person.
Yeah, people buy things from people. So it's why like Tesla, they don't have to spend a penny on marketing. Like Ford, I think
Elon,
Elon is their personal brand.
Oh yeah, they know that.
Elon
right?
is their marketing, and it's because he's got that personal brand. He can tweet something and he'll sell millions, right? And Ford, they would beg to have that sort of
I feel like
instant
Elon
reach.
doubled down more than anyone on personal branding in the world.
Yes.
Simply, well, I mean, he owns a social media platform.
he
that certainly
owns
helps.
it, so he can boost himself artificially.
Of course, but I mean, before that, because he like gave away his salary and said, if Tesla hits this milestone in revenue, you will give me a share buyback. And I think it worked out at 170 something billion. And so he knew that if he just carried on building his personal brand, Tesla was going to make it.
Yeah.
So he just kept doubling down on that. Of course, they had to innovate with product and things like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like Elon is weirdly just like, he's the Tony Stark, isn't he? Like
he is the real life Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And he's done like, okay,
Love him or hate him.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff he does is seriously weird.
Yeah.
But you cannot deny the fact he's built that personal brand means Tesla doesn't have to spend any money. They save so much money, and he's built the most valuable car company on the planet.
What I would say though is like, don't try and be like Elon, but just take inspiration.
Yeah, take
from
inspiration.
the journey.
Yeah, don't
Because no one that we know is going to found the next Tesla, and that's totally cool. And you don't have to. You can still work your 9-to-5 job, but then use the power of your personal brand to make yourself an extra 500 quid as a side hustle, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the way that the world is going, a lot of people, the divide between your work and your regular 9-to-5 job and your side hustle and personal brand, it's going to become way more messy, because the truth is there are a lot of people, including my dad, he was working a 9-to-5 job, but he built his personal brand on the side. He was getting networking opportunities, connections. He was starting to do speeches and stuff and personal branding content. And he was making money from that as well as his 9-to-5 job. And
you got a decision to make.
Yeah.
Really.
And I was talking with my mate, Tim Armu, and he was saying how he believes the next thing that's going to be massive is something called a hybrid creator, where someone has a job, but they're also creating content. It might be around their job or around the interest that they have. So they boost their income. They supplement their income with the money that they make from being a hybrid creator whilst working their jobs. And if companies are smart and they actually have two brains in them, they'll actually think, it's good that we have our employees being content creators because it boosts our company. I have a friend called Milad. He started documenting and filming TikToks of him making Subway sandwiches, and he ended up making more money from filming himself make Subway sandwiches than he did working at his parents' store, to the point where he bought his parents' store off them, bought another store, and just made tons of money. Okay, and that's like content, he started as a hybrid creator, boosting his income, making money from the live streams he did. He would make more from a live stream of him doing people's orders than he did from that hourly rate that he got. So like
turning a camera on.
Yeah. So even if you have a 9-to-5, don't discount the idea of a side hustle or building your personal brand.
Let's talk about that, because you are possibly the side hustle king, I would say, out there. Well, your knowledge in it is amazing.
Yeah.
And obviously you've done quite a few.
Yeah.
The eBay one I loved, and now I talk about that to everyone.
And you know what eBay have just done? It's really exciting. They've removed loads of their seller fees. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes.
But to rival with platforms like Vinted and Depop.
Okay, the booking fees you used to have to pay on the back end. They've moved it.
On eBay, you used to have to pay a ridiculous amount, like nearly 15%.
I used to sell trainers. Yeah,
but now they've removed that, and it's just the shipping that you have to pay is up to a certain amount. But that is really positive, because that's put them back in the game as like, genuinely, there's a lot of money to be made as a side hustle with eBay now compared to what it was.
Talk us through that side hustle.
Okay, the eBay reselling. Yeah. So the point I always like to give is my brother, he was in year 8. Okay. He managed to buy himself a brand new iPad and then a brand new MacBook, okay, through eBay reselling.
Okay.
And I'll walk you through the method. I put out a post on Nextdoor and Facebook, local Facebook pages in my area, community pages. And I said, hey there, do you guys think this is a good idea? I started off with a question, so then it didn't seem salesy. Recently, my brother's been asking me for ways that he can make money. And I thought, you know what? You're really good at reselling on eBay. So I thought, actually, maybe my brother could start reselling stuff for people in the community. And then I did on the next line, I said, so if any of you out there have a bunch of stuff in your garage or your loft that you need to get around to reselling, but you've never had the time or don't have the effort to do it, we will come round, pick up those items for you and resell them for you. And all we ask is we do a 50-50 split of the profit. Simple as that. And we went round to people's houses, collected all these items worth a ton of money. Like, you'll be surprised. People have stuff worth thousands in their house.
Garages are mad.
Yeah.
Mad.
It's worth thousands in their house.
Yeah.
The average garage in the UK, it scares me how much money is just sat, left gathering dust. It's ridiculous. So,
yeah.
Let's grab a drink. So we went round to people's houses. We cleaned up the items a little bit. You just give them a little dust, get a little cloth with some water, wipe them down a bit. You make these TVs look nice. You iron out or steam iron the clothes that they want you to resell. You take really nice photos. It's not hard to learn how to do this. And then you post this stuff on eBay and you start splitting the profit. And the great thing about this business model is anyone can do it at any age, because my brother, who's in year 9, 13 years old, was able to do it. Okay. And you don't have to put any money down because you're using someone else's money or stock and you're just splitting the profit 50-50. And it's such a scalable thing. There are people in every town, in every area who collect crap, okay, who collect all sorts of junk.
Yeah.
But the truth is, someone's junk is another person's treasure. And you will be surprised 100%. What junk can be worth.
Oh, mate, we just did a car boot like last weekend. It was like £450 from like Charlotte's nan, my partner's nan, just like her old stuff. Yeah. People just went nuts. And most of it went within like a half an hour. Mad.
Exactly.
So it's like you're doing the online version of the car boot, basically.
Yeah. And I'd say, like, if anyone needs a side hustle that will rapidly generate them cash.
Okay.
So maybe your rent's gone up or you've lost your job or something. I just say do that eBay reselling partnership model where you partner with people in your area, resell their stuff for them and split the profit 50-50. That is a game changer. It's an absolute game changer.
What do you do? Do you store it? Do you store it in your own?
Yeah. So we would just store it in the loft or in the attic or in, like, we had a little shed in the garden, just labeled it all up, put it there.
And you handle all the fulfillment.
Yeah, you just handle all the fulfillment. And the great thing is actually now is easier than it's ever been, because back in the day when I started, I had to go down to the post office every time I wanted to sell something. It took ages. Okay. Now my brother has a thing with the Royal Mail with the app. You can organize it so they come and collect it from your house.
Nice, yeah.
So, you know, it is quite funny because we've now made friends with our local postman guy who comes to deliver it, because it's like every day he's got
the van.
got more boxes of stuff that he's got to take, and it's like, it takes so long for him. But you know what? It's so dead easy.
And he smiles and gets on with it.
Yeah, and the thing is,
my
my brother goes to school. He just lays it all out in the morning, and this is like the power of outsourcing. He doesn't have to take all this stuff to the post office because the postman comes here. It's ridiculously easy now to resell stuff online. You just order on eBay the packaging. You order some printout labels to print out the stuff. So quick and easy.
Yeah.
And it's done.
I literally watched a clip last night of Gary Vee on Joe Rogan, like literally saying, you haven't got any money, open your garage and your loft doors and like, get creative.
Seriously.
It's like yard sales are mad as well. Go to other yard sales, find things, buy them for cheap, put them on eBay. Like, get creative, guys. Like, don't be lazy. If you've got no money, you have an opportunity right there in front of you. And that 100%. One right there is so, so easy. And it's actually really profitable.
Really
if you
profitable.
Work it out for a time of what you've actually done spending it. It's quite good fun. Like, you could do it with your kids. You could do it with your friends and family. Like, it's not necessarily like restricted to that.
That's a big thing as well. Like, if you struggle with motivation, get a friend on board with your side hustle.
Little co-founder.
Or a co-founder.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. 100%. I completely agree. So for you, how do you pivot? So for you, how pivotal do you think side hustle is in 2024, basically?
How pivotal?
How pivotal is it for someone to have a side hustle in 2024?
It can change the game. Genuinely, it will change your life, because there's only, the amount of money you can make with your job is limited. You go there for a certain amount of hours. There's only a certain amount of money you can make. But with a side hustle, the amount of money is unlimited because it's not tied to the amount of hours you work. If you do it right, if you systemize it right, it's so easy. Even that eBay reselling partnership method, you can scale that. You can bring in your friends, start having them do the fulfillment and distribution, have them do outreach, all of this stuff, listing it on eBay. With a side hustle, you can scale, but you can't scale really a 9-to-5 job. You can slowly progress over time and climb your way up. But with a side hustle, it's like if you don't have a side hustle, you don't have that opportunity to change your life and to make generational income, because that's every big business generally will start as a side hustle. So my girlfriend's granddad, he started just from his kitchen sort of table and his laptop, a company that did property marketing for companies. Now that, which once started as a side hustle, is a company that has maybe 15 employees now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's got its massive new office, and that started as a side hustle.
Amazing.
Right. And now his son runs that company for him. So you never know what can happen. If you start a side hustle, it can progress really big. I started a side hustle with my dad. He was posting TikTok videos And that was one of the catalysts that led him to quit his 9-to-5 job and start his own.
Oh, so
new
he has
podcast.
quit now?
Yeah, he's quit now.
Oh,
yeah.
wicked. Oh,
of course,
cool.
man. Of
Love
course.
Love that. So apart from the eBay ones, is there any good little nugget ones out there that you're talking about at the moment?
Yeah.
Best side hustles for
Really
2024?
good, really good side hustles is anything to do with, so we've got a lot of like video production companies and stuff. So that's always been a really big side hustle, get into like video production. But I think the new trend is to start video production agencies, but just from your phone. Okay.
iPhone ones.
So
right.
Get this. The other day I saw, and I couldn't believe this business was a thing, but it's a real thing. People who have weddings now, they won't hire these fancy film crews and stuff. They hire film crews that just take content from iPhones and they post it to your Instagram throughout the day, and they make reels and they make TikToks for you to post on your own social media.
That's smart.
Genius, right?
Because that's where everyone wants it to go.
That's what
now.
people want. They don't really want that fancy montage video anymore.
No.
They want the videos that follow the trends and do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and the great thing is, everyone has an iPhone these days. Even broke kids have really good iPhones. The camera on an iPhone is insane. So start some sort of video production agency around iPhones. Now, you could do what my friend did, Joel. He left school at age 18 and he just started creating content for people with personal brands and local businesses, made content from his iPhone, edited it together on CapCut. He didn't even use a fancy editing software, made $2,000 a month. Or you could offer your services to
Which is free.
Yeah, it's free.
You own
Everything you
everything
used
to do
was
it.
free.
Right.
You didn't pay for anything, okay? Or you could go to a local real estate agent and start creating TikToks or just short form videos for him to put on his LinkedIn and his Instagram and his TikTok. This is the great thing. There are so many ways you can put out content now. Or you could go to a local church and start creating short videos all around this. But I think having some sort of content marketing or production agency that literally just focuses on video only content is a really smart side hustle to start in 2024, because there has to be three things with a side hustle. It has to be low cost, easy to start, and very scalable. And that fits all of those boxes.
That wedding idea is genius.
It is, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Because anyone can do that.
Yeah.
And it's not hard. Like, okay, if you want to upgrade it a bit, then you buy like the Rode mics and you buy the gimbal. But when you start out, you can literally just have it like
But
this.
even that just plugs into the bottom of the phone, doesn't it, these days? So
And the great thing is, we all go to weddings at some point in our life. So next time you go to a wedding, just film a load of content, because the bride and groom will be like really happy or whatever. And then clip it up into some nice reels and stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's your
photos.
portfolio.
That's your portfolio.
Yeah, smart.
You can
Okay,
make a portfolio
like
for free with Canva now. So
you're giving me business ideas now. And we're coming out of this like, oh man, what am I doing? Right, we're not doing personal finance anymore, guys. We're doing wedding content. I'll be like, what are you talking
and
about?
final point on the wedding thing, right? People always charge way more for big events and big occasions in their life.
Yeah.
Makeup artists charge 3 times their rate for weddings. Okay. Hair artists, they charge 3 times their rates. Film production crews charge 3 times their rates, because people for weddings generally have a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Hopefully you only get married once in your life.
100%. I completely agree with you.
People won't bat an eyelid when you charge them thousands and thousands for this, because they've already like been saving for that for years. When you get engaged to someone, you generally know. I mean, are you engaged at the moment?
No, I'm not. No,
You're
no,
not.
no.
Oh, I think
Don't
I was talking
you
with
say
someone
it as well, man. I'm getting it from every corner at the moment.
But maybe it was another friend I was talking about. But he was like, as soon as I got engaged, I knew I was going to be spending a ton of money.
Yeah,
that's a niche that you're targeting.
Might be why.
Personal finance guy. He doesn't want to spend too much on it. But anyway, yeah. So. Sorry to interrupt, but that's kind of my final thing with that idea, because I think it's a genius idea.
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you, because you have clearly like learned a lot. What's one of the best things, like in terms of something that can someone like take away or read, or have you got any good book recommendations?
Yeah.
Right
Well,
now?
I literally this morning, I saw this book by my bed and I was like, I've got to bring it on the podcast.
Oh, cool.
But my number one book, I've got it here. My number one book for any young person who wants to get ahead in life is one called Opening Doors by Reggie Nelson. Now, a few years ago, Reggie Nelson, he blew up. He was on all of the news programs. He even went on the Steve Harvey show. Okay.
Oh,
he
wow.
was massive. And he's just this kid who comes from a very poor area in London. And what I love so much about him is, his dad died. He didn't have a lot going for him. So he decided, how can I get ahead in life? He wasn't doing too well in school. He didn't know very many rich people. So what did he do? He Googled on his school computer, richest areas in London. And he found this one place called Gloucester Road. So he went to Gloucester Road and he was just this little kid and he just knocked on doors and asked every single person, what is the secret and skills to your wealth? And he got rejected a bunch of times. Now, I love this story because I think knocking on doors, doing cold outreach, is one of the most transformative things you can do as a person.
Completely agree.
But he kept on knocking on doors. After several hours, eventually someone invited him into his house and they had a really long discussion. He was this millionaire guy and he gave him an internship at the company that he worked for. And he started mentoring him and he gained a mentor. But that was only because he knocked on doors. Long story short, Reggie's now very, very successful. I mean, he launched his own book, so that kind of tells you something. He works for like BlackRock and he's like really, really, he's got an insane job. And what I love about this book and what it will teach you is that sometimes in life, to get to where you want to go to, you have to take the route that some people aren't willing to take. You have to take what he calls the back door. Okay. So while everyone might do the traditional route of going to uni and then maybe getting an internship or whatever to get your dream job, maybe that isn't for you. Maybe you have to take the back door. And often that will mean using brute force, just going out there, getting rejected a bunch of times. But I read this book, it changed my life because this philosophy of just brute forcing your way to get where you want, to take the back door, is how I've been able to land so many contracts and big brand deals because I've just approached the company and just done everything I can, tried to take the most unconventional route to network, gain that network, and then sell them on a deal. So my number one book recommendation is Opening Doors. It tells you his story, what he's learnt about it, and how you can get to where you want to go to. And I'll just read you what's on the back here. Whatever ideas, plans, and dreams you have, you've got to go for them. Be your biggest supporter. Learn to eradicate the doubts in your mind, embrace the rejections, and start opening doors. It's a powerful book. I've met Reggie. We've made a video together on my page way back. Yeah. We went back to Gloucester Road. We filmed a video there.
Oh, cool, man.
When he launched this book. But yeah, Reggie Nelson, he's an inspiration to me. So it's not a common book that you'll be recommended.
No, I love that. You didn't pull out the Psychology of Money or something
no,
like that.
I'm not talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Psychology of Money or, Who Stole My Cheese. They're all great books. But if you want something that
But that's off the beaten track,
relatable,
which is cool. And I like that. And there's a reason behind it. Yeah, a friend of mine wanted to get a job at L'Oreal so badly, and she obviously sent her CV, rejected. Millions of people try to work in PR there. She wanted to work in PR. So she made this like massive outfit, which was basically like a huge whiteboard, which said "hire me" on it. And she went and stood outside the office. And she had like a music thing, which is like she made like a music track, and she just played it on repeat. And eventually someone come out and said, "You've got an interview." And so I think because someone high up there and she got the dream job. And so that's like a backdoor moment really, because she's now like circumnavigated everybody else and also put herself out for the fear of rejection and got where she wanted to get to.
Do what most people aren't willing to do and you will get results that most people don't get. And I say to people when they apply for things and CVs and stuff and they say, no, I can't land a job. I'm like, what have you done? And they're like, oh, I just sent my CV in and I said I'd love to get a job. And I'm like, go the extra mile. Record a Loom video, attach that on the email with your CV.
Little presentation.
Yeah, little presentation, just 5 minutes. Even if you're just trying to land a client, if someone sends me just a cold email, I might see it, I might not. But if someone sends me a personalized and an actually personalized Loom video that actually provides me value and I get that actual engagement, suddenly I'm going to take this person way more seriously because they've attached a video along with their cold email. So just do what most people aren't willing to do and you'll get the results that most people don't get.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, I've got a little fun question for you.
Okay, go on.
If you know that everybody does it, where like they say, oh, dead and alive, who would you have dinner with? But I think I want to ask you, who would you have dinner with that's currently alive in this country? And you have three.
In this country?
In this country, and you have three choices.
Wow. So I have three choices.
You have three choices.
And I can pick all of them.
And you can pick all of them, and they have to be based in the UK.
Wow. Okay. That's a great question. Give me a moment to think about that. Okay. Wow.
Reggie Nelson?
Have you... Reggie Nelson's a great... The problem is in my mind, if there's someone I want to have dinner with, 9 times out of 10, I'll find a way to have dinner with them. But yeah, let's go really big here then. I'd love to have dinner with, let's go Richard Branson.
Okay.
Because he's just like,
Yeah.
he's built some good stuff. I mean, yeah, not all
Tip
of his
of the
business.
entrepreneur game.
He is, yeah. Like he's at the top of this game.
And also, you know, pretty cool house on Mecca Island.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. So
yeah.
I might be invited around there.
Yeah,
That could
exactly.
be quite interesting. And I just think like, I'm kind of saying this selfishly, but I'd go and have dinner with him and I'd probably find out a bunch of information and then I'd turn that into TikTok
So interesting,
videos.
you're crafting the table. So you're all having dinner at the same time.
Oh, all at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Ooh. Okay. I'd probably go for... Okay, I'd include someone really like religious, like a thought leader in religion as well, because I cover the business.
Mm-hmm.
So I go for someone like the Archbishop of Canterbury. Okay, someone who can balance out that business with religion as well, because I'm a Christian myself. So there I'd gain the spiritual knowledge as well as the business knowledge.
Okay.
And then I'd probably go just from a content point of view, because I'd want someone as a content creator that I can look up to and aspire. I'd probably go like Chris Williamson.
Nice. Okay.
Because I really like what he's about.
Me too.
And I really like the way, like the drive that he has for his content. So probably those 3 people. And then maybe if I was to include one more as 4th, maybe like Ali Abdal or someone, because I think he's a really interesting guy and he kind of just says advice straight to you.
Seems lovely as well.
He's lovely. I mean,
Yeah,
I have actually met him.
Yeah.
With my girlfriend at his book launch, but you know, we only got like 10 seconds to say hi. And
He just comes across so genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I like about Ali is he doesn't like sugarcoat advice, especially at this session I went to where I saw him live. He just said things to people as they were. Like someone was like, "Oh, I really want to do this business and do that," and he was just like, "Don't do it because it's not worth it." And it's as simple as that. Like if it isn't worth it, he'll say so. But yeah, Richard Branson, Archbishop of Canterbury, Chris Williamson, and then if there's room for one more, that's adding Ali Abdal.
Okay, mate. Well, look, this has been a wicked conversation. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you, man?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at NoahXBoa. LinkedIn if you want to connect professionally, Noah Brierley. But yeah, that's where you can find me, man.
Wicked. Oh, I've loved this, mate. Thanks so much. We're going to have to do a round 3, I think.
Round 3 is coming up, Sammy. Hey, thank you, brother.
Cheers, man. Well, guys, that was an unbelievable episode. Noah tucked into a side hustle, which I don't think is talked about enough. That was that eBay side hustle, man. What an absolute game changer that's going to be for so many people listening to this. You can literally get started today and be making money from other people's stuff. I really love that one. But look, it's been another absolute banger of an episode with Noah this week. We are back next Wednesday, so make sure you tune in. And it is a new YouTube channel, guys, so I am going to ask you a big fat favor. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you whack that notification bell as well, so you never miss an episode from us. But as always, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you on the next one.